Hi, welcome to my video on dividing a binomial by a binomial. Okay, just a reminder, division, just check to see if you're dividing your polynomials in the grade that you're in now. And if you're not, then just remember that I have these videos and wait until you're in a grade that will do the division of the polynomials. But in this case, just remember we're dividing each of these, so sometimes you will not see a binomial being divided into a binomial. We see this one, we see a 15x cubed divided by 5x squared. That's monomials. 15 divided by 5 is 3, and x squared divided by x cubed divided by x squared, we subtract our exponents to get a 1. We've done these, but I'm doing a binomial by binomial. Here we go. Let's have a bit of fun. Practice. What about if you're dividing 72 by 4? So that would be 4 divided into 72. Just write out the long way. So 4 into 7 goes once, so you put a 1. So 1 times 4 is 4, and you draw a line and you're subtracting. 7 subtract 4 is 3. Then you bring down your 2. 4 divided into 32 is 8. And 4 eighths is 32. So when you subtract, notice, that's a plus there, but you're saying you're doing a subtraction. So you get a 0. So that's done. So that's 4 into 72 goes 18. And what about if you take 3,467 divided by 15? So that's 15 divided into 3, 4, 6, 7. And we take our time. So 15 can't go into 3, but it goes into 34 twice. Put up your 2. 2 times, you're multiplying back to get to 30. Then you're subtracting. 34 subtract 30 is a 4. Bring down your 6. 15 into 46 goes 3. 3 15s, notice, again you're multiplying back, and then you're subtracting to get a 1. Then you're bringing down your 7. 15 into 17 goes once. 1 times, see, so you divide into the 17, put the answer up, and then you multiply back to get your 15, and then you subtract to get your 2. So the answer is 231 and a remainder of 2. I just want to show you something here. When we divide this, we're really getting an answer of 18, and nothing left over. But when we do this one, when we divide 15 into 3,461, we're getting 231, and we're getting 2 left over out of 15. So that's a mixed numeral now. So it's 231 and 2 over 15. So if you multiplied 15 by 231 and added on your 2, you would get your 3, 4, 6, 7. So that's the same as having 3, 4, 6, 7 divided by 15. So if I wrote it down like this, you would still do your division and you would get this answer here. But notice that 3, 4, 6, 7 over 15 is 231 and 2/15 as a mixed numeral. We're going to look at that here when we're doing the binomials. But again, when I do this, a lot of books and teachers don't do what I'm doing right now. So let's divide these binomials. So that's x plus 1 divided into x plus 5. You'd say, what are you doing that for? We know, I've seen that. Well, let's practice. So x plus 1 divided into x goes once. So when you're doing binomials, the answer you get when you divide goes above the what I call the term that you have. So if you had an x, you put it above the x. If you had an x squared, you put it above the x squared. This is 1 is a constant, so you put it above the 5. Then you multiply back. 1 times x plus 1 is x plus 1. 1 times x and 1 times 1. Now, we had to be careful here. What we do here, because we have binomials, up here we said 7 minus 4, we knew was a 3. Easy. But here, this is a plus, so what I do, I make it a minus. This is the plus, so I make it a minus. So what we're doing is saying 1 add on negative 1, that's gone. Or that's 1 subtract 1. Notice we're subtracting, so we're adding on the opposite. But I'm writing it down in the circle. So this is a plus 1. So what's 5 subtract 1? But the answer is 4. But if you change the 1 to a negative 1, so that's a 5, add on negative 1, which is still 4. So what we have is, we have 1 and 4. That's the workings. But if you think about it, that's a 1 answer, and the answer is 4 and x over x plus 1. You won't see it done, the answer expressed this way. So x plus 5 divided by x plus 1 is 1, and 4 is the remainder. Notice this is the remainder. This is your quotient, the answer. But if you write it this way, good work. And x minus 3 divided into x plus 8. Here we go. X divided into x. Notice I divide the first, I get a 1 again. So 1 times x is x. 1 times negative 3 is negative 3, because when I divide, I have to multiply this number by the 2 of these. Now, I'm subtracting. So x subtract x is 0. But think about it, that's a plus. We make it a minus. So 1 add on negative 1 is a 0. They should cancel out. That's the idea. If they don't cancel it, you got it done wrong. And this is a minus, so I make it a plus because I'm adding on the opposite. So 8 plus 3 is 11. Again, notice 8, if you think about it, that's 8 subtract negative 3. So 8 subtract negative 3 is 8 plus 3, which is 11. So making this negative a positive is easier to add because the signs are changed. You don't have to worry about doing this. So change the negative 3 to a plus 3 in the circle, and then you've got a plus 8 and a plus 3. You don't worry about that negative then. And so if you want to write that down as a mixed numeral, a mixed polynomial, if you want to call it that, that's 1 and 11 and x minus 3. 11 and x minus 3 is my divisor. And if you think about it, watch this. If you were to check that back, that would be 1 times x plus 1, add on 4. That's that. So if you had, let's go back to the top, sorry, 8 and 2 over 3. If you change that mixed numeral to improper fraction, you've got 7 times 3 plus 2 over 3. 21, so that would be 23 over 3. So you multiply these two and add on this one. So that's what I did here. 1 times the binomial, add on to 4. That would give me x plus 1 plus 4. Remember, that's over x plus 1. So that's over x plus 1. So what did that give me? X plus 5 divided by x plus 1, which is what we have. And division here is x plus 3 divided into 2x plus 9. X into 2x goes 2. Multiply back. 2x plus 6. 2 times x, 2 times 3. And that's a plus, so we make that a minus. And that's a plus, so we make that a minus. Now we got plus 2, add on 2 is 0, they're gone. And 9 subtract 6 is 3. Remember, if I didn't change it, I'm changing it so that now I'm not worried about that plus sign. It's the minus sign. That's a negative 6 now. So 9 subtract 6 is 3. And if you want to change it, that's a 2 answer, and it's the 3 remainder over your divisor, x plus 3. And here we go, the next one. X minus 4 divided into 5x, 5x, I better be careful, minus 3. X into 5x goes 5. Multiply back, 5 times x, 5x. 5 times negative 4, negative 20. Done. Now we're going to subtract. But in polynomials, I make that a minus, and that negative becomes a plus. So I'm dealing with the, so these should cancel out. 5, negative 5, gone. So, okay. That's a negative 3 and a positive 20 is a 17. So note, I can remind you, that's a negative 3 subtract negative 20. So that's a negative 3 plus 20, which gives you 70. So that negative 20, we made it a plus. So then negative 3 plus 20. I'm really, by changing the sign and putting it here, I'm just adding these up now. I'm not doing a subtraction because I've added on the opposite already. And the answer is 5, and the remainder is 17 over x minus 4. But you won't see this done. You won't see this written down like this. That's just me doing it. And we have this one, which is a 2x plus 4 divided into 10x minus 19. Remember, this is the same as 10x plus 19 over 2x plus 4. This is with the division symbol, and this is when you express as a fraction. Let's divide. 2x into 10x is a 5. Multiply back. 5 times 2x, 10x. 5 times 4 is 20. Notice these are the same, so that's great. So that's a negative, and that's a negative. I'm changing the signs. Plus 10 minus 10 cancels out. And as a plus 19 and negative 20, that's a negative 1. And as a mixed number, that's a 5 and a negative 1 all over 2x plus 4. And we're going to divide this one. So it's a negative 8x plus 7. And we got a 24x minus 10. Negative 8 into 24 is a negative 3. Multiply back. Negative 3 times negative 8, 24. Remember, these two have to be the same in order to cancel out. When you subtract, negative 3 times 7 is negative 21. Done. And I know they're going to cancel, so that plus becomes a minus. That minus becomes a plus. Done. So 24, subtract 24 is 0. And that's a negative 10, and that's a plus. That's a plus there. Negative 10 plus 21 is 11. And as a mixed numeral, the answer is negative 3, and the remainder is 11 over your divisor, 24x minus 20 minus 10. So that's a negative 3 and a fraction. And notice I should have descending order on this, because if I have descending order, it makes the division or the addition or the multiplication easier. So let's write the 2 plus 10x as 10 plus 10x plus 2. So that's 10x plus 2 into 9x plus 11. So that's descending order and that's descending order, so it's easier to handle now. If you had these switched around, it wouldn't be good. So you should have both of them in the same order, descending. So, oh, I got a 90 here, left off my 9, that's a 90. So that's a 90. So 10 into 10x into 9x is 9. 9 times 10x is 90x. 9 times 2 is 18. Well, that's a plus, so I make it a minus. That's a plus, so I make it a minus. 90, subtract 90 is 0, they're gone. And 11, subtract or add on negative 18 is negative 7. And that's a 9 and negative 7 over 10x plus 2. If you want to write it down as this, what I call mixed polynomial, but normally they don't do it. I never did it when I was in grade 9 or 10, but I'm doing it now. I've seen this idea used in calculus, but you don't have to worry about expressing it in this form. There's the answer when you divide. It's 9 and a negative 7 remainder. Okay, let's turn to the next page. Now, what you do is you pause your video, you divide all these out to see if you're going to work it. Because if you can work your binomial times the binomial correctly, then the next ones I'm going to do will be, I won't say a piece of cake, but you'll see the pattern. You follow the pattern over and over and over till you get used to it. So here we go. X plus 3 is divided into x plus 8. Don't forget, pause your video, work them out, and press play to see if your answers are right. If your answers are right, perfect. If not, find out where you went wrong. So x into x goes once, multiply. X plus 3. You multiply the 1 by the 2 of these. And you make, that's a plus, you make it a minus. That's a plus, you make it a minus. So 1, they cancel out. 8, add on negative 3 is a 5. And I'm not really going to worry about writing them as a mixed polynomial. You can if you want. And this is an x minus 6 divided into x plus 2. X into x is 1. Again, the 1 goes, and when you're doing polynomials, the 1 or the x goes above the term that I have in underneath here called the dividend. Multiply back, I get an x minus 6. 1 times x, 1 times negative 6. That's a plus, so I make it a minus. That's a minus, so I make it a plus. Because I'm adding on the opposite. Plus 1 minus 1, gone. And 2 subtract 6. Oh, that's a negative. I make it a positive. I got to be careful. Got to change the sign. I'm adding on the opposite. I forgot to change the negative to a positive. Now I'm okay. So 2 plus 6 makes an 8. X plus 2 divided into 4x minus 1. X divided into 4x gives me a 4. Multiply back. 4 times x, 4 times 2. Draw a line, I'm subtracting, so I want to add on the opposite. So a plus becomes a minus, and the plus becomes a minus. So that's 4, add on negative 4, they're gone. And a negative 1 and negative 8 is a negative 9. Again, just as a little reminder, originally this was a negative 1 and 8. But I'm subtracting, so as a negative 1 subtract a positive 8. So there's negative 1 plus negative 8. So the negative 1 and negative 8 makes a negative 9. So if you think about it this way, that it's a negative 1, subtract 8. So add on the opposite, which is add on negative 8, gives you the negative 9. So changing this plus to a minus is really doing this work right here. So change the sign and look at a negative 1 and a negative 8. Ignore that plus. After you change that to a minus, ignore this plus. And the next one, 6x minus 5 into 12x minus 7. 6x into 12x is a 2. 2 times 6x, 12x. 2 times negative 5, negative 10. That's an x, right? Now, there's a plus, so we make it a minus. And there's a minus, so we make it a plus. Done. So 12 and a negative 12, gone. History, 0. Negative 7, add on 10 is 3. You obey the same. We do descending order. Yep. Negative 5x minus 2. And we got a negative 25x plus 6. And a negative 5 and a negative 25 is a 5. So you get 5 times negative 25. 5 times negative 5x is negative 25x. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. Notice that these are the same, so they're going to cancel out because you're subtracting. But we make the negative a positive. Good. We make the negative a positive. Done. Now I'm ignoring the negative, so negative 25 plus 25, they cancel out. 6 add on 10 is 16. So change the negative to a positive, and so that's a plus 6 plus 10. Forget the minus. Done. And we have descending order still. Watch out for descending order, because if they're not in descending order, what happens? You're going to have trouble. For instance, pretend for a second. Let's go up here. Let's write this one down as no. Wait till I get this one right here. These two, and then I'll show you. So negative into negative 11 into 33 is negative 3. So negative 3 times negative 11 is 33x. And you know you're going okay when these two are the same, because they're going to subtract and get a 0. Negative 3 times 10 is negative 30. Good. So again, that plus becomes a minus, and that minus becomes a plus. I always do the opposite of this line first before I do any cancellations or adding. Cancels out. Negative 7 plus 30 is a 23 plus. So change the signs, put them in the circle, and then deal with negative 7 plus the 30. Notice here now we have x and 7 and 4 and x. So these are not in descending order. So I should go that divided by 2x plus 4 first. Or, here we go, I'm okay, yep. If I looked at this and I didn't want to write this down, I would write this one as 2x plus 4 there and 8x minus 7 there without doing this step, because I know I got to do descending order. And if I didn't change that, let's go up right here. If I didn't change that, let's take this one. If I went 4 plus 2x, just as it is, into 8x plus 7, or 8x minus 7, now you got a 4 going into 8x. So that would be confusing because, yes, 4 will go into 8x 2x times, but when I multiply back, I get an 8x. Now I get a 4x to the x squared. So the x squared is not here. I created a new term that's not up there. So if you, don't do that. Make sure both of them are in the same order, in descending order. Here we go. 2x and 8x is a 4. Multiply back. 8x. 4 times 4 is 16. And as a plus, I make it a minus. As a plus, I make it a minus. So 8 plus 8 minus 8, 0. Negative 7 minus 16 is a negative 23. And descending order, so that's a 6x plus 21. And this one is 3x minus 1. The x got to go first because it's descending order because the constant is last. Now I got a 3x plus 1 into 6x plus 21. 3x into 6x is a 2. 2 times 6x is 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times 1 is 2. Draw your line. That's a plus, so I make it a minus. And that's a plus, so I make it a minus. So positive 6, negative 6 cancels out. Positive 21, subtract 2 is 19. Again, the same pattern all the time. Practice, practice, practice. Even though you won't see many of these done, this is the basis for getting you to do heavier divisions. And if you like my video, then press on the like button and the subscribe button if you hit that button if you're not a subscriber. And don't forget the notification bell because there's more videos that I'll be doing in the near future. And write a comment on my video if you're a subscriber. And visit my math website at mathfullyexplained.com. There you get information about me, which is my degrees and teaching experience. The section on video has the ideas that I'm going to help you conquer your math or make your learning the math better. And the section on content has the topics and the number of videos on those topics. And besides, what's in black font is already up and on my YouTube channel. And what's in red font will be done and put online in the near future. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.